Welcome to A New You. A stroke is a serious medical emergency that occurs when blood supply to the brain is cut off or reduced, preventing brain tissue from getting oxygen and nutrients. Within minutes, brain cells begin to die. There are two primary types of strokes. Ischemic stroke, which is the most common type, occurs when a blood vessel carrying blood to the brain is blocked, typically by a blood clot. And a hemorrhagic stroke. This occurs when a blood vessel in the brain leaks or ruptures, causing bleeding in the brain, which increases pressure and damages cells. A third temporary event known as a transient ischemic attack, or TIA, often called a mini-stroke, occurs when blood flow to the brain is blocked for a short time but does not cause permanent damage.
So I'm what you call a baby in the brain injury world. My injury was only 3 years ago.
Wow.
So I just moved to a new house. It was Australia Day. So I've just had my anniversary, my third anniversary in 2021. And I woke up and I really thought there was someone else in the bed with me. I picked up what I now know was my own limb, but I thought it was someone else's limb. And then I rolled out of bed and fell out of bed. And I think about an hour or two later, my then partner came and picked me up off the floor. And I said, I really need to go to the bathroom. And so I picked me up because I couldn't get up. And he knew straight away that I had a stroke because I had all the signs. I had slurred speech. I had a facial droop. I've got left-sided weakness and I couldn't move my left side of my body very well. So I was dragging my left leg. So I was very fortunate in that I was in that time frame, which is really crucial. The first couple of hours after a stroke is crucial. So the stroke ambulance came to my home, they scanned my brain, the images then get sent to the Royal Melbourne Hospital, and then on arrival I was given a clot retrieval and basically that saved my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that would have been in COVID as well.
It was. So
were in lockdown?
I think we were in that period, if you remember, where we're in between lockdowns.
Yeah.
So we'd had Christmas and I think it was just before we were about to shut back down. But we'd bought our house like in the lockdown.
Yeah.
So it was an auction online, basically. Yeah.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
I won't go into real estate because now I'm busting to ask you questions
Yeah.
about that process. But okay, so how did the stroke affect you?
Okay, so I had a right prefrontal cortex stroke. So it means that I've got left-sided weakness. And the way initially it affected me, it affected my speech. I had difficulty, I had some speech therapy post-injury. And I had left-sided weakness, so I needed to build back strength on my left side. And fine motor skills were also affected. But that's really, my injury is probably quite invisible because I only stayed in hospital a very short amount of time. Like I was in there for less than a week.
Wow.
So I literally, in there Australia Day, and then I was out before my kids started school for the first time.
Oh gosh. That brings up another thing I need to ask you about. What's it been like rearing children, almost going through a childhood of yourself, a reinvigorated childhood of yourself, because you were so soon afterwards. So how old were your kids when you?
They were 4 at the time.
Yeah.
So they were 4, turning 5 in April. So it was their first year of school.
Twins?
Twins.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my twin daughters were there on the day I had my stroke, and I've got quite strong memories of that. That's really been one of the things that's really impacted on me is I need support now to help me with my kids, because one of the things that's really impacted me is fatigue. So by the end of the day, I can be, quite tired. And the things my kids pick up on is they say, Mum, you're dripping. And it means that I've got a facial droop. So that side of my left side of my face kind of, saliva will come down a bit.
Yes.
And so that's one of the things that they notice.
Yeah.
And certainly one of the things that's been really hard is that I can't keep up with my kids.
No.
There's just no way I can keep up with them. So they've sort of had to learn that what I say to them is, Mummy's battery gets flat and so she needs to rest so she can recharge her battery. But like it breaks my heart because like, you know, I'd love to be able to do some of the things that they do.
Yeah.
And, you know, like they say, come on, Mum, let's jump on the trampoline. I say, okay, I can go 5 minutes, and
Yeah.
I'm going to have a rest.
I want to say, have faith, because it will get better. It will get better. It's tough at the beginning, but take it from me, things do improve. So, do you think they have much memory of you before the injury? And do you
Yeah.
think they compare?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I think so. I think they do because they certainly know that things are different. Like I've said to them, like when I'm dripping, I say that's because I'm tired. So when I do it now, they say, "Mummy, you're tired." I go, "No, I'm not tired," or you know, "Yes, I am."
Yeah.
I think they do have memory of me pre-injury because certainly that period after the injury was very challenging because we'd just moved house and they were just starting school and I wasn't the same.
Oh.
Like I was, you know, going through all these different massive brain changes and massive emotional changes because that's been the biggest impact has been that prior to my injury I suffered from anxiety and depression. That's been magnified.
Exacerbated.
Totally
Yes.
exacerbated by it. And so that's really what, like on my NDIS, that's my disability, is now a psychosocial disability.
Oh, well done for being on NDIS because that's something I still haven't been able to get onto. What about your relationship? Has it?
No, I'm no longer with my partner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that. Oh, but that maybe I shouldn't be.
No, not
But
at
this
all.
is.
No,
But this
not
is.
at all.
This is something that happens very regularly with brain injury. Is that people lose their relationships, and so I wanted to ask you. That's. I'm sorry about that, but he obviously still supports you with the children.
Yeah. He's very supportive of the girls, and
Great.
yeah. So look, it was just a relationship came to an end.
And then.
Yeah.
Okay.
80 formerly worked for the ABC, but developed some unhealthy lifestyle habits that resulted in 3 strokes in 5 years. He now runs A2K Media, focusing on disability representation on screen.
My brain injury started basically because I paid more than my fair share of what I call idiot tax.
Maybe you shouldn't use it.
Wait. Because I picked up smoking. I started smoking at age 29. I mean, seriously, who the hell does that, eh?
Smoking at
I
what
started
age?
smoking at 29.
29.
I started
You're a mature, acquired
there.
smoking.
And I worked my way up to smoking 4 packs a day.
Far out.
Indeed. A very expensive and unhealthy habit.
Yes.
And
And what eventuated?
it resulted in 2 brain hemorrhagic strokes. Now, strokes, most common strokes are like clot strokes. But when I was going through some really bad headaches, and I went to my doctor at my parents' house, and I said, "I've been having bad dreams." He said, "First of all, let me take your blood pressure." I said, "Sure." And then she said, "Okay, I'll, you know how your blood pressure's meant to be, 120/80? Yes. Yours is currently 210/150. I said, "Oh, gee whiz." And I said, "Okay." And I said, "Okay." And he said, "I want you to have a sitting there going on the CAT scan machine, but may you come back in 10 minutes and do that?" I said, "Okay, sure." So I did that. I said, "Let me just go. I'm back in a minute." Went across a cigarette, got some cigarettes and newspaper and cigarettes,
So you left the CAT scan machine to go and get some cigarettes so you could smoke before having a CAT scan.
Yeah.
You had a problem, darling.
It would appear so. But anyway, and I said, "Okay, well," she said, "Bad easy. You're currently having a brain hemorrhagic stroke."
Currently.
Yes.
So what does that mean? Does that mean that there's
My brain's
blood?
bleeding.
Okay, so and
Said, "You have to go to the hospital now, but you're not driving." And my intuitive instinct response to that was, "Bullshit, I'm not driving." Yeah. No one tells me I'm not driving. So, maybe the time I grew up and did the right thing. So I called my mum and asked her to pick me up.
thanks, Mum.
And then she picked me up and then took me to the Dandenong Hospital. And when I got there, she gave me a note to give to the hospital. What do you call the receptionist at the hospital? They were like the triage nurse. I just called her receptionist. We got there, and and all these people were. It was like, poor people looking very unwell. There was one guy who had like he had a compound fracture in his hand, and he was nursing a wound of a bone sticking over his hand with a look like I can describe as some sort of psychopathic look. And he just looked at me, I said, "You okay, mate?" He goes, I'll tell you yes.
All right. So then they took you upstairs and.
So then I went to the triage. I said, "Look, I'm sorry. My doctor asked me to give this to you. I'm really sorry if you're having a busy day, but this is just something I was going to pass on to you. But don't worry, I'm okay. There's nothing in a hurry." And then she went straight to immediate action and went, "Okay, we'll get you straight into it, sir." And got me to took me to the doctor, and they said, "Right, it'll take you straight inside now to into emergency."
So did they chop over? Was your head chopped open?
No, they wanted to take me to straight to the neuro ward, but there wasn't room or space in there, so I was just hanging around a bit,
So did that contribute to the severity?
It contributed to me wanting just to do a thing. Is there a place we can get a coffee and have a cigarette or something?
And have a cigarette.
Yeah.
But then we probably should emphasise that was 80's first stroke, and he was in hospital for 2 weeks and he made a full recovery.
Yes.
So, and then, 5 years later, there was the second stroke, which was the major stroke.
The disability-related stroke, and that was where I was then in a situation where I had to, try to, I suppose, keep as calm as possible and just, meditate and breathe and just, it's hard, I can't really remember many things about it.
Well, 80 was in a coma for 3 weeks and then in hospital for 7 months.
Medically induced coma, 3 weeks.
So you were kind of out of it.
Yeah.
So were you together at that stage?
Yes.
I mean, as a couple?
Yeah.
Yes, we've been dating since the 5th of March 2006.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
And then this happened in what year? 2000 and.
And 6?
No, your head.
2011.
2011.
Yes.
So you'd been together for 5 years by
Yeah.
this stage. That must have been.
So hold on. We actually met in 2011, around the time he had his major stroke.
We met in 2006, darling.
Sorry?
met.
You're my student at broadcasting.
I'm getting confused with the dates, to be honest.
We met, basically what happened...
No, 2011.
No, when we met, people said, how do you know you met? I was joking, people said, look, we met in public toilets.
But you didn't.
No.
You met in the classroom.
Yeah, I was a teacher at the Department of Broadcasting at Holmes Glen TAFE.
And what were you teaching?
I was teaching about
International co-productions, wasn't it?
co-productions, a lot of theory-based stuff.
Michael Mayer is CEO of One Passport and experienced a stroke because of a heart malformation which happened in his late 40s. He was very fit and there was no warning or indication that anything was wrong.
So 3 years ago I had a stroke. It was a Friday morning and I woke up, threw back the doona, stood up, and standing next to the bed, I realized my arm felt funny. There's no pain, just funny. So swinging my arm, trying to work out what's wrong. My wife said, "Are you okay?" And I turned to say, "I don't know what's wrong," and went, "Woo!" And you think, shit, that's not good. So you're high as a kite. So I had a stroke. Then it's a sliding doors moment that propels you into another world. And I found that advocacy for stroke and brain injuries is become a passion for me. Thus, I'm here.
Well, that's wonderful to hear, because as I just said before, you're relatively young in head injury years. You're only 3 years.
3 years.
So that's quite interesting. I often think about the comparison between traumatic brain injury and stroke, which they're essentially damage to the brain, but it seems to me that stroke people kind of, I think, a little bit more cognitively there in a way that traumatic brain injury might not be. Or am I? Why don't you educate me?
I'm not an expert to be able to educate. I think, for starters, you can have a stroke and have clot retrieval or clot busting drugs and not have permanent damage to the brain so much. If you miss the 3 to 4 hour window, like I did, I was asleep, I've got a permanent dead patch. Luckily for me, the location is speech and fine motor skills right hand. So chopsticks are a no-no. But I've met stroke guys who have a much worse brain damage than me because it really depends on where the clot lodges in the brain. So it's luck of the draw, unfortunately.
There were a series of abbreviations that we spoke about in our conversation, and I'd like you to speak about what PFOs are.
So when I was 46, fit, gym 4 or 5 days a week. I'm ex-military. I run a company. So mentally and physically, I've been pushed and medically tested throughout my life. So I'm not the usual candidate for stroke. There's no underlying things like heart, obesity, age, diabetes, etc. So when they rule out you having a second stroke, they go to town trying to establish why you had a stroke. So CT scans, MRIs, etc., trying to work out why. And they finally isolated to what turns out to be about a quarter of all strokes, called PFO. In the heart, between the upper right and left atria, there's a hole or valve between them that we are all born with. It's to aid in breathing from the blood when you're a fetus inside your mother. Then when you're born and you take a breath and your lungs engage, the hole begins to close. By the time you're 2 or 3, it's typically shut. But in 25% of people, 1 in 4, it never closes. So the hole is there with the flap of skin, and the skin moves and the hole ebbs and flows. So if you're unlucky enough to get a clot on the right side, the inbound side from elsewhere in the body, as the hole opens, it crosses to the left and gets pumped out with fresh blood, first stop brain. And the severity of the stroke is where it lodges in the brain. There's nothing you can do. But it requires you to have, after your stroke hospitalization, to go and have heart surgery to close the hole. But talking to the cardiologist about it, said, if we had found this PFO 3 months ago prior to your stroke, and you said, I found it, can you operate? I would say leave it, because 99% of people die without ever having a problem from a PFO. And when 1 in 4 have it, we can't do heart surgery on everyone to close it. So they say it's bad luck.
Yeah. So how did you come to become co-manager of Brain Injury Matters?
So I was attending the Northcote group, and Peter Persons, who's my co-manager, advertised for the job, and I applied for it, and I got the job.
That's great.
So I hadn't been going to the Northcote group for very long, but this job came up, and I thought, I'm just in the right place. I was really just in the right place to kind of do it.
Yeah, psychologically, is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
cognitively wise?
Cognitively, I was in the right place to kind of go, yep, I can put this application together.
Yeah.
And one of the things I was really nervous about was getting like people to give me references, because I hadn't worked for 7 years because I had kids as well.
Yes.
So it was like, oh God, I've got to get references. But I'm also a part of some other online groups, including the Genius Network.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And I'm friends with Cal, who's the founder of the Genius Network.
Yeah.
So he was my reference. And then also I was attached to the school. I was doing some voluntary work with the school in just this reading recovery sort of stuff.
Have your capabilities improved over that time? How have you found it? How have you found it contribute to your recovery?
Look, initially I had a bit of a blip last year. So I started the job, and then I was finding it was a little bit too much, because I was sort of still balancing work-life balance, and then I also have my separation and was dealing with the stuff with that. So I pulled back, but since things with that have settled down, I've gone back up to the 16 hours a week, and look, it's helped me so much with my recovery.
I can so imagine.
Yeah.
Support workers are a huge part of my life now. It's funny because I, culturally speaking, from my Asian Muslim background, the idea of requiring a support worker was a very foreign concept for me. I explained this when I was in hospital. I said, look, I cannot get my head around the idea, because I said to my friend of mine who worked in Singapore, I said, have you ever worked with a disability worker at all? And Colin said, actually, I've been a disability support worker before. I said, yeah. And I said, how long for? He said, well, this way, I have my fair share of bottoms in my time.
Yeah.
But that's been really difficult for 80, and even in hospital, when he was in hospital for the 7 months, I actually did all his toileting and showering.
Yeah.
So, that's been probably one of the trickiest
Can you
things.
tell me of your aims for A2K and what's next for the company, please?
I like to think that, I can still harbour, nurture and foster, high-reaching ambition, production ambition. And I'm fairly confident I can still do that, but I would like to, for a while, work within the disability equity and inclusion space, because, it's proving so rewarding and fulfilling for me.
I lived in Japan over 3 blocks, all up in and out for about 10 years. So I speak basically fluent Japanese, my partner's Japanese, I have a German Shepherd, her commands are all in Japanese. We go to Japan most years. My parents-in-law are Japanese, the family doesn't speak English, so you have to converse in Japanese. So learning how to speak, again, all the language is there, is in the brain, but the muscle memory of how to enunciate, articulate is gone. So I had a paper keyboard trying to get words in English, but having to do Japanese, I had to get my poor speech therapist to drill me in Japanese. She had no idea if I was pronouncing, and she said, I will have to leave up to you to police yourself. But she drilled me on vocab. And my wife printing out the sheets for me to practice.
So can you read hiragana and katakana and kanji?
Yes.
Can you read them?
Yeah.
So did you lose that ability too
No,
through your stroke?
that was all there.
That's excellent.
It's
3 alphabets. I'm impressed.
But the muscle memory for past tense, past negative tense, because Japanese is drop the E, add a bit, ikanak, etc. So it's muscle memory. That's what I lost.
Wow. That's stunning. It's stunning. And I do have to say that meeting Maury, and just witnessing the relationship between you two and the language, it lit a fire in me again, because that was the best time of that life.
One of the key words no to Maury is damn it.
Damn it.
Like Manuel in Fawlty Towers there, saying, I couldn't say that, so I was saying, dummy. And Maury's looking at me, what the hell does dummy mean? So I'm practicing dumb.
How long did it take you to get that?
Months. That bloody yes.
That's all for this week. If you'd like to contact us, email us at info@anewyou.au. See you next week.